All right, folks. Welcome to the Seth Rhodes Show. We're on a walk for a few feet here before I get set up to do this. Oh, yes, we got the Columbia River in the background. This is beautiful. Get my hair into place. Awesome. Well, welcome back, guys. Today we're going to talk even more in depth about the decade of pain and how I think it's really important to grasp if you want to turn your finances around, which I don't know if anyone else is in my boat, but I am talking to my former self, and I feel like I've been an adult for a long time, but I'm just now learning some of these basic tools. So, without further ado, Decade of Pain Part 2. So, a couple days ago, I mentioned that in order to get ahead or better your financial condition, you would have to do something in my shoes, like several years, maybe even 10 years of increase in two categories. One, in earnings, two, in investing. And really to get there requires some incremental change, some new habits, some new mindsets, and probably quite a bit of emotional pain. You know, I don't think it requires other types of pain, but emotional pain, which is totally valid, and I'm not gonna say it's not pain. So, emotional pain. And I got this concept from the YouTube channel, The Minority Mindset by Jaspreet Singh. If you want to look him up, that is The Minority Mindset. And so he talks about finance and how to think differently. So that's why it's the minority mindset, not the majority mindset. So give him a look. He's awesome, very inspirational to me right now. And so, back into our topic of the decade of pain. And it might not be exactly a decade, it might be quite a bit longer. It might be, an exponential curve, like the first couple years are brutal and the pain is like this, the emotional pain builds, and then the gains are also like this. I really don't know. So the main thing is to get started. The main thing is to make little steps, call them baby steps, towards what you want. And drastic change is awesome, very inspirational, and moves the needle more, obviously, but not everyone can do that. I can't do it. I have multiple things going at once. I am a family man. I've got, a wife, children. I have a limited amount of time to spend with them, my day job, which I take very seriously, and then several things like this that I'm trying to get off the ground and, build. So my days are full. I cannot make some of the radical changes I could have made when I was 20. So I'm going to speak to myself both in the now as an almost 40-year-old and, wind the clock back to, say, I was 19 and going into college. Here's some of the advice I would have given to myself. So if you want to have enough money to retire, if you want to have enough money to live well, you're going to have to think differently than most people. And it's not to say that a lot of people aren't living well, but we know statistically a lot of people are one paycheck away. In fact, over half of the country, the U.S., in this economy, over half of the citizens couldn't handle a $400 emergency, so that's brutal. And their paychecks are way bigger than $400, so each paycheck is coming in, and they are a paycheck away from digging into either a credit card or savings, but it's generally not savings because most people don't have any savings, nothing significant. So to talk about retirement and wealth, I think it's very pressing, and it's something you can get started on, and you don't have to be an overnight success to do well at it, but you do have to get started and you do have to make some moves. So I am no expert on this. I am beyond amateur. However, I will share the moves I'm making because I think it will inspire me, and I think it'll inspire you too. So in the last episode, I talked about the 75-15-10 ratio and how I wish, but won't, make it a 50-50. I invest 50% and I live on the other 50%. And, after, say, initial buffer of a couple $1,000s in savings. That would be awesome. Not gonna do it for various reasons. I actually have to increase my income quite a bit before I could live on 50% of my income. So that's one reason. Second reason, it's too drastic of a change. I wouldn't stick with it. I don't have the habits, think weightlifting, think some athletic things, think some highly competitive thing. I don't have the habits to sustain me at that level. I might be able to do it for a day, and then I would fall off the wagon, so to speak, and it would actually hurt my momentum. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to bring more pain. I'm trying to grow something that I'm proud of and something that's sustainable and healthy. And if I do more than a little a day, it's definitely not that. So the decade of pain, bring it full circle here. The decade of pain is simply, in my understanding of it, correct me if I'm wrong, and Jaspreet, no offense if I'm wrong. I'm going to keep studying you and some of your concepts until I get it more fully. But my understanding of the decade of pain, it's a period of time where you are learning to do things very differently. And because it takes quite a bit of time to invest incrementally, something that he advises and something I'm going to do, you can plan on it being at least a decade where your lifestyle is reduced. You are just building, you're just exercising, you're just building the habits. So, I think this pertains especially to people under the age of 60, but you could also be doing this in your 60s. I mean, there's really no limit, but it's a period of time where you're going to invest and live on less than you make, and at the same time increase your income. Not exactly the same time, but in that time frame of, say, 2 to 10 years, you're going to also increase your income. So my income is not increasing at the moment. That's something that's in the back of my head. How can I earn more? But more importantly, and more foundational, is how can I spend less so that I have more to invest? So my thesis at this point in my journey is, how can I invest more? And one way to do that is create margin by spending less. And so that's the beginning of my decade of pain, is learning to live on less while soon expanding my daily income. And then I will be sharing my findings and my learnings and my mishaps along the way. So thanks for joining me. It's going to be a great journey.